I'm going to scoot on down to the other end of the couch, and you can take my place on the hot cushion. So today I'm going to discuss your fantasy football footprint and follow that up with some questions. Please keep in mind that I'm going to be very direct, to the point, and brutally honest, and the questions are not necessarily going to be easy. Is that okay?
Sure, go for it.
All right, before we get into the meat of this,
I can't imagine what would be a hard-hitting question when it's revolving around fantasy football. Some people might take it a little more seriously than I do.
Well, I'm hoping that you know from how I operate most of my leagues that there's probably not a lot of seriousness in my seriousness. But before we get into the meat of this potato, I'm just going to ask a few little things about you. So, number one, what keeps your fantasy football experience from becoming stagnant or boring?
I play in a bunch of leagues with like crazy different scoring settings. Just generally, I don't play in boring leagues. I would get extremely bored in that. So if I don't create a league that gives me intrigue, I definitely seek them out. If I come across somebody that's got an interesting league idea, that's going to catch me and get possibly like get me to try not to have another startup. That's going to be what gets me, is when there's another idea that I'm like, oh man, that sounds fun. It's playing a different game. Every league I play in is basically different. So they're different games, they're different versions of the same game. You mentioned poker before. There's how many different varieties of poker?
Oh, yeah.
For me, I treat fantasy football the same way. I don't want to sit there and play, No Limit Hold'em for every single hand. I mean, I do. I love No Limit Hold'em. But
that's a psychological game. There's some numbers involved, but
there's a lot of other varieties that are also very, very fun. So, that's what keeps it from not getting stagnant to me. Mostly I try to surround myself in leagues with people that I enjoy playing with. I could be in a basic, boring league, and if it's with people that I really enjoy, then I'm still having fun.
I love it. So whereabouts do you live in this world?
I am right by Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm actually just south of Cincinnati, which for those that know geography means I'm not in Ohio at all. I'm actually in Kentucky. But I always claim Cincinnati because if you claim Kentucky, people just look at you a little bit differently when you're across anywhere in the country. So Cincinnati.
Well, that's pretty cool. So yes, my family is half from Kentucky and half from Michigan, and now I live in Texas. So you remember have you seen the show Justified?
Yes, I have. That
is where my family is from.
Yeah, and that's one impression that people have of you when you say you're from Kentucky. So,
right?
I got a lot of good people around me here. So,
so obviously you've been playing fantasy football a long time. Have you ever taken a player you hated just because he was a value?
All the time. I shouldn't say all the time, because I don't really hate players. I don't hate players that I don't love a lot of players. There's some that I really love. And I'll take them. I'll spend way too much on them. But players, there's nobody that I really hate because I will play only on the value. There are players that I won't pay their normal market price for, but if I get a deal for them, I love that guy. I'm starting to get Jarvis Landry everywhere. I hated Jarvis Landry a few years ago because people wanted him to be like the number one receiver in fantasy football, and I wouldn't value him that way. But now people like him a little bit less.
Yeah, it's amazing. We took Jeremy and I took O.J. Howard because his ADP was about 4 rounds off of where we took him. So, I think that's pretty underappreciated right now. Yep. All right,
but it wasn't a value because it doesn't exist.
I'm a beer guy, John. I know you are too. So I have to ask you, what's your favorite brewery?
Ooh, geez. That's legitimately hard to choose. I am a privileged beer snob who got to spend a couple of trips over in Europe. So if you've ever had one from, I think it's called like St. Bernardine's, it is delicious. Stateside, I drink a lot of New Belgium triple right now. Belgian triples are like, I love them. There's one out of Michigan called Victory. They make it. They have a pretty good triple. It's called Golden Monkey. Favorite brewery, man. I should probably choose something local.
Rheingeist?
It's not Rheingeist. that is
Mad Tree?
Mad Tree. I've actually, if I'm going to go to a brewery, Mad Tree is the one. I love Mad Tree. That's
Underrated.
I do love hanging out there, and they have a triple day on tap sometimes, not frequently, but when they put it on, I definitely take my growlers over and get them filled. So yeah, I'll go Mad Tree. It's not Rheingeist. That's like the stereotype one everybody knows of Cincinnati, and I'm like, that's like the last one that I'll go to. Don't get me wrong, I'll still go and drink there, but give me Mad Tree for sure. I do like that. So there is another one that I'm blanking on. That might be it. It's got yeah, it's got a monk on the label. So
Saint Bernardus was actually brewed by a corporation when the Westvleteren brewery, which is one of the 7 Trappist breweries that are allowed to carry the Trappist moniker, they were having to do some renovations on their monastery. They couldn't brew their own stuff, so they allowed St. Bernardus to brew their recipes. But when they signed the contract, they didn't realize that they could brew in perpetuity. So when you're getting St. Bernardus, you're actually getting all the recipes from Westvleteren, and Westvleteren is the world-renowned Michael Jackson said it was the best beer in the world. Their Westvleteren 12, which is the quadruple. But yes, all of their beers, their double is just out of this world.
They have a quad that that's oh my God. Like, it's so good. You can't find them here. They're ridiculously expensive. Yeah. I was lucky enough to get to bring some home, and I think I still have like a couple in my fridge, and I'm like afraid to open them because I know as soon as they're gone, like, I'm never going to go spend that money on a beer to buy one here, but they're so good.
So Westvleteren, though, you cannot buy anywhere except for at the brewery or at the monastery.
Wow.
So technically, if you buy them outside of there, and I have, it's called the brown market, right? Like, you're not supposed to sell them. They're not allowed to advertise that they have them, but you go to a beer store and you talk to the guy and they say, yeah, I got some Vesti in the back. I'll sell you that.
Oh, wow.
I got some when we were in Brussels for like 10 euros a bottle, and it was like, yeah, that was worth every penny.
We do not condone. Go ahead.
Yeah, do not condone the brown market, of course not.
Yes, Rick can edit that out.
Yeah, do condone the brown market, of course. He wasn't breaking American laws. He was breaking some European laws. No, he's all right. They're not coming over here to get him for that.
Believe in the right to be forgotten, so we'll just forget that.
Knocking on my door. So, there's my 10 euros, bud.
When Dynasty Self Help goes worldwide for our tour.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know. I will say there might be some Belgians that listen to this. I know there's at least one that's pretty into fantasy football. So
hopefully Tim is in our 1.1
exactly
Scott Fishbowl. So hopefully Tim forgives me for getting Westvleteren. I did try to call because
Tim can probably tell you, hey, this is where you really go to get it.
Right. But I tried. So the way you have to do it, you have to call in advance, tell them you're going to pick it up, and then you go and drive through, and they hand you cases of beer out their window. But it's like calling on, back in the Stone Ages where everything's on hold, So I sat on the phone one morning for 3 hours trying to call into that monastery to get some of that beer. And afterwards I was like, babe, we're in Belgium, so let's go places. I guess I'll try to get that beer somewhere else.
One thing I learned over there was if you see a beer with a monk on it, it's probably a good one.
Yeah, and it's probably 10% alcohol.
Good rule of thumb. Yeah.
Oh yes, those monks know how to drink.
They call anything that is under 5% kids beer.
It's just nutritional beer then.
That's just what you have for lunch. So final introduction question. What is your favorite thing about XFL fantasy football?
About XFL? Did you say XFL?
Yes.
Kind of the hilarity that yet they just keep trying. I don't know. I hope they do keep trying because I would like more football. I don't know. I didn't participate in any XFL. I don't think so. No, I think I did do an AAF league, and I think we all got about 2 weeks into it, and then I don't think anybody set lineups or
easy with Karen, no trade.
We were like, okay, well, it was fun to do a draft, guys, but this league's over, and then the actual league was over, and yeah, I don't know. I did not repeat the experience for the XFL. I did say, like, if they make it to year 2, I'll probably give it a go and I'll jump in because why not? It's more it's another game I can play, but
another game that other people probably don't know the rules as well as you.
I don't think anybody. I wonder if anybody knew any of the rules for the XFL. Oh man!
The only rule is draft Darnold Parham.
Yeah, Parham was about the only thing that happened. Or PJ Walker, he did pretty good.
There you go.
All right, so now it's time for my hard-hitting analysis and drama-laden questions. Are you ready?
Sure, let's fire away.
Okay, you spend a large amount of time running fantasy eliminators that give a lot of money to FC Cares charity. These eliminators are directly opposed to Ricky Bobby because if you are second to last, you are actually first. One team is removed each week for being pathetic and less worthwhile than their competitors. Darwin is a scientist that is well known for the concept of survival of the fittest. Species evolve as the strongest of their brethren survive and the weak perish. Who is the world record holder for the women's 400-meter, 800-meter, and 1,500-meter freestyle?
Ooh, God, you know what? Can I text my daughter? She might know this. My daughter.
Phone a friend? I'll give you a phone a friend. Yes, you can text your daughter, and I hope she does.
I don't know. I have no idea. Katie Ledecky. Katie Ledecky's the only swimming.
You got it, Katie Ledecky.
That was the first
nailed it.
Came to my head, and it was just sticking in my head. I'm not joking when I say that we are a swimming household. We can actually watch swimming on TV even when it's not the Olympics. We find it entertaining.
It's great, and she is like little. What was she? 17 when she was just dominating the last Olympics.
She's amazing, is what she is.
So good.
The first thing that came to your head, and also probably the first hot cushion correct answer we have ever had.
Nice.
These questions can be a little difficult. All right, question number 2. I love board games and card games. I memorized Monopoly and all of the property values before I turned 8.
Quiz me on the property values. Oh, damn it.
And I learned poker and craps theory from an old 5 1/4 floppy disk game. We were Yankees at birth, so I love a good game of euchre. You love games, and that's what I appreciate about you. I have a theory that you like that about me as well. In the 1940s, what mathematical concept was created by Samuel Eilenberg and Saunders MacLean?
The 1940s mathematical formula. To be fair, let's see. Really wish you'd have quizzed me on the Monopoly board properties. I could have nailed those all the way around, man. Mathematical property from the 40s? Were they still discovering new math in the 40s? Good Lord. I don't know. Pythagorean theorem. That had to be from way before then.
All right,
back in the 40s.
What I did, Jeremy, what do you think?
Based on your pronunciation emphasis, I would guess game theory.
All right, so what I tried to do was set it in your brain that you would like to answer game theory.
Oh, gotcha.
Be incorrect, because that was based off of the work of John Van Neumann. This is category theory. Okay,
sure.
So question 3.
Obviously.
I got it half right. I did say a theory, so, I got it half right. I'll take credit.
John's already got his one question right in the bank. He doesn't care.
That's good.
I've won this game already.
Yeah.
All right. There are many formats for fantasy football: redraft, dynasty, keeper, snake draft, auction, etc. Jeremy finds it difficult to perceive value in the varied formats, so he targets all the wide receivers that look like Adonis. But luckily, you are an auction expert, John. How much would John Michael Montgomery bid to be sold to the lady in the long black dress because she won his heart? It was no contest, with her ruby red lips, blonde hair, blue eyes.
Can you sing it one more time? I got a ruby red.
The question is, how much would John Michael Montgomery bid to be sold to the lady in the long black dress because she won his heart? It was no contest, with her ruby red lips, blonde hair, blue eyes.
So I'm about to bid my heart goodbye, but I'll guess
That's it. He bid his heart goodbye.
He didn't actually get. He never gave an actual amount.
No, but he was wanting to be bought, because he was saying, right, I'm about to be sold to the lady, right? So, but what would he bid to be won? I said, what would he bid to be sold?
All right.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Nice. Didn't know if you'd get that one. I know you're a music guy, so I gave you a chance at it. I asked my wife that question. She definitely
live in Kentucky, so I have been exposed to the country music all my life.
It is possible he goes 3 for 4.
It is possible. I'd like to
This might be a record, folks.
You don't have to look like Adonis, but if you have a breakout age and a college dominance like Adonis, then you're on my team.
All right. Question 4. Swimming is something that you and I discussed recently. My family swims, your family swims, so it makes sense that we would get along swimmingly. I apologize if these questions are a bit freestyle, but I would like to make a bit of a splash. As a kid, I swam like a fish, but as an adult, I drink like one. Fishing for answers is the goal of these questions. What AFC East team has a fish for a mascot?
AFC East, you said, right?
Yes.
There is AFC East. There are no fish mascots in the AFC East.
That is correct. It is a dolphin, which is a mammal.
Excellent.
Yes.
I just got
Killed it.
Excellent score, sir.
We watch dolphins every day on the trip that's just on. So
by far, you dominated that question series. So, it's one of the fun things. I kind of direct you in one way or another and may not even ask you the same question that I'm targeting with the commentary. So for you to stay on top of that and get 3 out of 4 of those, that's pretty awesome.
So Kyle, I can credit my kids with my victory in that game, I'll say, because they constantly, literally one of the games I play with my daughter is she looks at TikTok riddles constantly. She follows a bunch of riddle accounts on TikTok, and every time she thinks she's going to stump me. So I am always on my toes waiting. I know when somebody is reading me a question that I can basically ignore what they're saying. I've been trained by my kids to do that. So I love that she loves riddles because it's funny every time every single time she's like, oh, this one's going to get him. Yeah. And when she does, which she does plenty because some of them don't even make sense. It's clearly not that I don't get it. She gets so happy. It's so funny. But I was like, oh my God, you follow TikTok riddle accounts on TikTok. That's fantastic.
Pretty amazing. I'm going to close this out. Thanks for your time. I appreciate your candid and truthful answers and my insightful and hard-hitting analysis.